Okay, we're back and we're just explaining step 4, just the ending of step 4 now. So you must have all your 4 columns done, not 4 columns, your 4 sheets done. And what I'd like to see is you getting hold of your sponsor and taking a picture of all of the work. Take a picture of all your resentments, take a picture of your fears, take a picture of your sets, take a picture of your harms, and send that to your sponsor so we can look it over and we can see if everything's in line, you did everything correct, and that's really important before we can even talk and set a date for a step 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So do that. So once you have done that, let's go into step 5. So now you're coming to me and you're coming with these resentments towards me. And how I do it is, let's just go over one right here. Is right on Ron. Remember right on Ron? He's loud and stuff like this. Okay, so what I'm doing is I usually ask a person right away is just give me one and let's just do one, and I'm going to explain to you why we're doing it. Okay, so they go, okay, I'm resentful at right on Ron because he's loud and I'm sitting across the table. And before you even start a step 5, make sure you do the step 3 prayer. It's really important. So sit down with the person you're with and just tell them to read the step 3 prayer because you want to bring God into it. So we're getting really set up for a step 5 now. So we set the step 3 prayer. Okay, so I'm going to say, okay, now explain who these people are, explain what you did, or explain what the cause is. Why are you pissed off at them? And then you can deal with this, but by the time you become a sponsor, you already know how it affects the person. You know it's going to affect their personal relationship. You know it affects their self-esteem because you're telling me that you're mad at right on Ron and he's loud. So I understand these effects. And right over here, putting out our minds, the wrongs others had done, we resolutely look for our own mistakes. Where had we been? Selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, frightened. Well, what happens is we have folded this page over, like I did. We folded the page over, and it's to conclude others were wrong, as far as most of us ever got. So I'm going to do that. And I got it folded over, so it's just about now, and it's putting out of our minds, the wrongs others had done. We resolutely look for our own mistakes. Right from there, it goes, where had we been? Selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, frightened. I want to ask you a question, and what I ask everybody is it a mistake to be frightened? And everybody at home listening to this, you'd be like, no, it's not a mistake to be frightened. But let's read it again, putting out our minds, the wrongs others had done. We resolutely looked for our own mistakes. Where had we been? Selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, frightened. Looking for our own mistakes. Where had we been? Frightened. Okay, so what this tells me is frightened is a mistake. Now let me ask you the same question. Resolutely look for our own mistakes where we had been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, frightened. Is it a mistake to be selfish? Yes. Is it a mistake to be dishonest? Yes. Is it a mistake to be self-seeking? I want something from somebody? Yes. Is it a mistake to be frightened? Yes. And I explain that to them. And I also explain that, to conclude to others we're wrong as far as us ever got. I blamed everybody my whole entire life for everything. Little did I know it had nothing to do with them. So believe me, if you have resentment, I don't care who you have a resentment against, it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with how I react to them. So, doesn't matter if you have 15 or 500, the answer is no. It's how I react to all of these people in my whole entire life, and how I react is my defects of character. So how do I react with Ron? Bobby has a sheet here, and he puts a little tick. And here's what he's done, is beside each defect here, he puts like, here, I'll explain it to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is what he does. Every time he hears anger, he puts 1. If he hears anger again, he puts 2. If he hears anger again, he puts 3. So here's your defect sheet, and whenever you hear anger, you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it might be. but you put little ticks on your defects of character. Hold on to this. From this column here. So this column here is our fault, our reaction, pick 5 defects. Okay, and we pick 5 defects. Okay, so for example, with Ron is jealous, inconsiderate, judging, angry, mean. He has jealous, inconsiderate, judging, angry, and mean. He has them ticked on the sheet. So what happens is we are using this sheet now. Do you get me? So when I sit down, and we go through all your resentments, I go through all your reactions, it plays a big important part, because later I'm going to get you to count this up. But I'm not going to do that now, I'm going to do it later. So we get your defects, and I go through who you're resentful at, the cause, but I really want to know how you reacted to it. That's what I'm listening to in a step 5. So I'm listening to all of your 15. I get to yourself. And now I get your defects and how you've reacted towards yourself the whole time. Like, I've been mean to me, I've been inconsiderate, I've been angry at me, I've been lazy, I've been, oh my God. So I have 10 defects of character. Do you get me? So we talked about this, and we talk about the 10 things why you're resentful at yourself. We go to the fears. So now I'm listening to your fears, and I'm making sure that your solutions are correct. When I'm sitting down with you, I make sure your solutions actually work with your fears. And when I do the actions, you shouldn't have the fears. So by this time, this person you're sitting down and doing a step 5 with, things are starting to lighten up. They're starting to see the patterns, and they should see the patterns of the resentments, not the resentments, the anger, being inconsiderate, being mean, whatever the case might be. Avoidance is pretty much the #1 thing I hear from all the alcoholics is avoidance. Nobody wants to deal with anything. They don't. Believe me, you'll have avoidance. Most people do. Okay, so we deal with the fears. I go through the sex relationships. All I want to know is just read the one-night stands, or you write down Mary, or you write down John, Frank, I don't care. Just write down their name and write down just fill in the blanks here, and we talk about that and we go through that. Sometimes we're going to have sexual abuse here, like I said, and a lot of times you're going to have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then what should have I done instead was not held on to it and talked about it with somebody so I can walk through it. And today, hopefully you're doing that so you can walk through a free person. Why we're doing this work is to remove the blocks that are blocking me from God. That's why we're doing this work. We want you to go out here right now, right here, right now. We want you to leave once all of this work is done, and we want you to walk a free person in this world, and a happy person, and a loving person. So, okay, so we deal with the sex. We get to the harms. Okay, so we get to the harms. Okay, so do you want to take over, Bobby? So we get to the harms. Let's see, in a step 5. Okay, so we get to the harms.
Once I get to harms, I really just want to know who you've harmed and what happened. And
that's right.
It. That's all we need to go over. And the truth is about harms is that we need these here so that we can walk free someday. And that's going to be further on the steps. But for now, all we need to know is the person that we've harmed.
And what happened.
And what happened. And how did you hurt others? What did I do? I need to know the name and what happened, and that's it.
And that's what we're going to talk about. So once we have done all of that, we've done all the 4 lists, we are going to sit down, and I'm going to give the book back, or I'm going to give the sheets back to, let's say, Bobby, or I'm going to look at the sheets and I'm going to say, hey Bobby, here's your defect sheet. Now mark each defect that I list. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to go back to the resentment list, because we've talked about everything. We're completely done. We're almost completely done step 4. This is the last part of it. Is what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the resentments, and I'm going to go to all of these defects of character. You're going to have 5 for each 15 people. You're going to have 5, and I'm going to resent avoidance, anger, inconsiderate, mean, jealous, and Bobby's going to mark 1 tick for each one. So you're going to get a lot of these ticks. See the ticks? You're going to get a lot of these ticks on your defect sheet. So what happens is that we go through the resentments. Okay, we go through the resentments. Let me see. There's no defects with our fears, but we go to our sex and we go through all 5 sheets. There's 5 defects for each sex. And why this is because you might be lustful at some of them, and we might have to look at that. Or we might still be mean. We still might be inconsiderate. We mark and we tick each one from our sex and from our resentment. Okay, so then what happens is that's pretty much it. Okay, that's it. So then we have this list here with a whole bunch of ticks. And what happens is I get Bobby to now add them all up. He's added them all up, and at this point, we know exactly the defects that are blocking him from God. You are now complete step 5. Now that being said, because you have, now you know exactly what your defects are. Now we can actually start moving into step 6 and 7. So what it says in step 5, and I should read step 5, it's on pages 72 to 75. I'm going to get Bobby to read this. It's right here, Bobby. I'm going to get Bobby to read all of the step 5, and we're going to go from there. So Bobby's going to read this.
Okay, so step 5 is pages 72 to 75. Step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact natures of our wrongs. And this is in the chapter Into Action. Having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We have been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and to discover the obstacles in our path. We have admitted certain defects. We have in a rough way, what the trouble is. We have put our finger on the weak times in our personal inventory. Now these are about to be cast out. This requires action on our part, which, when completed, will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. This brings us to the 5th step in the program of recovery, mentioned in the preceding chapter. This is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. We think we have done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There is doubt about that. In actual practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. Many of us thought it necessary to go much further. We will be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. The best reason first. If we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives, trying to avoid this humbling experience. They have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell. We think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty. In the sense, we find it necessary until they told someone else all their life story.
Okay, I'll read a little bit, Bobby. More than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. He is very much of the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. This is the one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy certain reputations, but he knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. The inconsistency is made worse by the things he does on his sprees. Coming to a sense, he is revolved. At certain episodes, he vaguely remembers. Those memories are a nightmare. He trembles to think someone might have observed him. As far as he can, he pushes these memories far inside him. He hopes they will never see the light of day. He is under constant fear and tension. That makes him for more drinking. Psychologists are inclined to agree with us. We have spent thousands of dollars for examinations. We know but few instances where we have been given these doctors a fair break. We have seldom told them the whole truth, nor have we followed their advice. I'm willing to be honest with these sympathetic men. We were honest with no one else. Small wonder many in the medical profession have low opinion of alcoholics and their chance for recovery. Go ahead, Bobby.
We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think well before we choose the person or persons with whom to take this intimate and confidential step. Those of us belonging to a religious denomination which requires confession must, and of course, will want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it is to receive it. Though we have no religious conception, we may still do well to talk with someone ordained by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problem. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics. If we cannot or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintance for a close-mouthed, understanding friend. Perhaps our doctor or psychologist will be the person. It may be one of our own family, but we cannot disclose anything to our wives or our parents which will hurt them and make them unhappy. We have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense. Such parts of our story we tell to someone who will understand yet be unaffected. The rule is we must be hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others.
Okay, I'll read this. Notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one is so situated that there is no suitable person available. If that is so, this step may be postponed. Only, however, if we hold ourselves in complete readiness to go through with it at the first opportunity. We say this because we are very anxious that we talk to the right person. It is important that he be able to keep a confidence, that he fully understand and approve what we are driving at, that he will not try to change our plan, but we must not use this to mere excuse to postpone. Go ahead, Bobby.
When we decide who is to hear our story, we waste no time. We have a written inventory and we are prepared for a long talk. We explain to our partner that we are about to do, or what we